The area now known as Chatham-Kent is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy, the Ottawa, Potawatomi, and Ojibwe. The Lenape also inhabited these lands at the time of the written treaties. We also acknowledge the Indigenous people who traveled these lands before the written treaties. Today, Chatham-Kent neighbors, the Lenape at El Napawi, Lackaweet, also called Delaware Nation at Moravian Town, and the unceded territory of Bakajwanong, Wapua Island First Nation. Chatham-Kent continues to be home to diverse First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Chatham-Kent is covered by Treaty 2, the Detroit Treaty of 1790, Treaty 7, Sombre Township Treaty of 1796, and Treaty 25, Longwoods Treaty of 1822. We also recognize that this region is subject to earlier wampum agreements like the two-row wampum and the dish with one spoon wampum. As beneficiaries of these treaties, we recognize our responsibilities, including the collective responsibilities to the land and water. Please be seated. Mr. Mayor, there is not a supplementary agenda this evening. Rules for the council chambers. The municipality of Chatham-Kent supports open meetings that welcome debate of public policy issues in an atmosphere of inclusiveness, integrity, civility, fairness, and respect for differing points of view. Anyone conducting themselves in a way that disturbs, disrupts, or impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting, interrupts or makes derogatory statements or hate speech, defamatory comments about councillors, staff, speakers, or fellow members of the public may result in removal from the premises. This also applies to deputations. We ask that you do not approach members of council if they are seated in their council seats. The public, unless invited, is not permitted to come into the gated horseshoe area. The use of posters, signage, and literature is also prohibited. In attendance this evening, we have regrets from Councillor Hall and Councillor Anderson. And virtually participating, and also Councillor Wright. Virtually participating, we have Councillor C. McGregor and Councillor McGrail. Mr. Mayor, we have 3 disclosures of pecuniary interest for open session agenda items, and they are item 15A, the Paralegal Housing Stability Services sole source, conflict by Councillor Crew. Item 16D, changed to conditions of approval for draft plan of subdivision, conflict by Councillor Story. And 19A, the Together CK grant, the 2026 funding recommendations, conflict by Councillor McDonald. We'll now move on to recognition. We'll call upon Rob Pollock to the podium to introduce our recognition. It is Patrick Humpage for his courageous actions during the 85 Pine Street housing apartment fire.
I'll actually ask Patrick, if you're okay, to come on up right now, and you can stand right here. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rob Pollock, Director for Parks, Recreation, and Facilities. So today we are here to recognize someone whose action, dedication, and character fully embody what it means to serve our community with courage, professionalism, and heart. On the morning of Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, while carrying out his regular building maintenance duties at the housing apartment complex at 85 Pine Street in Chatham, Patrick Humpage was faced with a situation that could have ended very differently without his quick thinking and decisive action. At approximately 10:20 a.m., the building's fire alarm was activated. Patrick immediately began investigating the cause, and soon tenants informed him there was smoke coming from a specific unit. He instructed those tenants to leave the building for their safety and proceeded to check the unit himself. When he arrived at the door, he saw heavy smoke coming from underneath. Patrick opened the unit and discovered an individual still inside. He repeatedly instructed her to leave and quickly moved to retrieve a fire extinguisher down the hall. Returning to the unit, Patrick extinguished the fire and then moved smoldering items to the patio outside into the snow to ensure the fire was completely out. Patrick served as a volunteer firefighter in Tilbury Station 19 for 12 years, and it is clear that the skills, instincts, and dedication he developed in that role continued to benefit our team and our residents every day. Patrick, your swift actions, calm under pressure, and courage, dedication, and professionalism make you an outstanding member of our organization and a tremendous representative of the municipality of Chatham-Kent. We are proud to have you on our team, and today we recognize and thank you for all that you do. Congratulations, Patrick, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll now move on to planning services.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. The process to be followed for each application tonight will be as follows. The clerk will announce the item and indicate if any written submissions have been received. The mayor will then ask if there's anyone present besides the applicant or agent with an interest to speak to the item, and to please indicate so by raising their hand. If anyone is present to speak to an item, administration will have a presentation. Interested individuals will then be asked to proceed to this podium and address council. The applicant will then be given an opportunity to address council at this podium. Council may ask questions of each presenter and or the applicant. Administration may comment based on any discussion that has occurred, and council will decide what action it wishes to take with regards to each item. If no members of the public wish to speak to the item, there is no presentation by administration. Council decisions will be posted on the municipal website. Anyone who made a written or oral submission will receive a notice of decision. Others must request a notice of decision in writing through the municipal clerk. Thank you.
12A, application for zoning bylaw amendment, 1815513 Ontario Inc., 420 Queen Street, Community of Chatham City. There are no conflict of interest and no deputations were received today.
Is there anyone present? Is there anyone present other than the applicant and or the agent with an interest in the application? If so, please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, can I get Councillor Finn and Councillor Bondi to put this on the floor, please?
Happy to move.
And seconded.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor McGrail
Yes.
and Councillor C. McGregor.
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 15-0. 12B, application for zoning bylaw amendment, 1001401 Ontario Inc., 217 and 219 Margaret Ave, Community of Wallaceburg. No conflict of interest and no deputations were received.
Is there anyone present other than the applicant or the agent with an interest in the application? If so, please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, Councillor C. McGregor and Councillor McGrail, can I get you to put this on the floor, please? Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor
Yes.
and Councillor McGrail.
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 15-0. 12C, application for zoning bylaw amendment, Gertzma Farm Limited, 21960 Mull Rd, Community of Harwich, South Kent. No conflict of interest and no deputations were received.
Is there anyone present other than the applicant or the agent with an interest in the application? If so, please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, Councillor Sakachi and Councillor Doyle, can I get you to put this on the floor, please?
So moved, Mayor Caniff.
So seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor McGrail,
Yes.
Councillor C. McGregor,
Yes.
All votes are in, motion passes 15-0. And the final planning application for consent and zoning bylaw amendment, 1815513 Ontario Inc. and 340 Industrial Ave and 182 Chatham Street North, Community of Blenheim, South Kent. There were no conflict of interest and no deputations were received.
Is there anyone present other than the applicant or the agent with an interest in the application? If so, please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, Councillor Thompson and Councillor Doyle, can I get you to move this, please?
So moved.
And seconded.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor
Yes.
and Councillor McGrail.
Yes.
All votes are in, motion passes 15-0. We'll now move on to deputations. There were no deputations that were received for any reports on this agenda. And next we'll move on to our consent agenda. So we have the following reports that have been pulled out of consent agenda to be voted on separately. The first one is 16A, the Wheatley Revitalization Update Community Development Action Plan. There's a presentation by administration. Item 17A, the Waste to Energy Project Pre-Decision Administrative Requirements has been pulled by Councillor C. McGregor and Councillor Jubenville. Item 17C, the 2026 Purchasing Bylaw Revision has been pulled by Councillor Jubenville. Item 18A, the Golf Cart Pilot Program in Erie O 2026 Fee Update, pulled by Councillor Jubenville. And the final report is item 19A, the Together CK Grant, the 2026 Funding Recommendations. We have a presentation by administration. Therefore, the following reports will remain on the consent agenda to be approved in one motion, and those items are 15A, 16B, C, D, 17B, 18B, 19B, C, D, E, and F.
Councillor McDonald and Councillor Harrigan, can I just move the consent agenda, please?
Happy to move it. And seconded.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor McGrail
Yes.
and Councillor C. McGregor.
Yes.
Point of order, Madam Clerk, I apologize. I have a conflict on 16D.
That's okay. In the consent agenda, you can still vote, and we mark those conflicts
Okay,
in the minutes.
thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. All votes are in. Motion passes 15-0.
Item 16, Development Services.
16A, the Wheatley Revitalization Update Community Development Action Plan. We have a presentation by Kira Knapp, the Economic Development Officer for Chatham-Kent.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Tonight, I am so excited to be presenting Wheatley's Community Development Action Plan. This was a key strategic priority for the Wheatley Task Force and for the municipality, and was a key part of the provincial funding that we received. You'll notice that the dates are 2025 to 2029. The plan was completed for review, so we've already started implementing some of the action items. And before we move on to the next slide, I wanted to give a big congratulations to the Wheatley Task Force, and thanks to everybody at the municipality. We were a finalist for the Economic Development Council of Ontario strategic plans for this plan in the urban category, so we were up against some big hitters and super proud of that and the work that the task force and the municipality have done over the last several years to get us here. So we have a video first.
Small, but it's unstoppable. Since a 2021 gas explosion rocked our uptown core, the community has come together. Residents, businesses, all orders of government, and we're ready for our comeback.
A story of tragedy and resilience and coming together and community and rebuilding.
Cue the comeback. Ready, set,
I wanted to start off with that video just because when we filmed that video, we had about 72 hours to pull it all together and had over 100 people from Wheatley that showed up to show their support as they filmed. And I think that really shows the spirit of Wheatley. as we've moved through this entire process. So as we all know, the gas explosion deeply disrupted our downtown. It displaced families and it deeply impacted businesses and had a huge impact on the community. But those effects really did extend beyond physical damage. There was a loss of momentum, some uncertainty for investors, there was strain on community morale, and prolonged closure of key community intersection. The Wheatley Task Force, as you know, was formed as a grassroots response, and in March 2023, the Economic Development Officer, who is me, was hired. The role was created to coordinate the recovery and develop this action plan. So the document represents the next chapter, not just of the recovery of Wheatley, but of its renewal. This is a community-informed plan. Extensive community engagement happened over the first year of my work as EDO. It included community surveys for both residents and visitors, and we had a huge number of respondents at a statistically significant percentage of 12% of the community who responded to our survey. We did over 45 interviews with small group discussions with residents, businesses, key municipal staff and service providers, and we held 2 public meetings in Wheatley dedicated to the development of this plan, and 1 public engagement specifically related to the development of the municipally owned public space. It was great to see a number of you at the June 7th event that we hosted as well. It was really important to us that we also aligned the community action plan with major municipal documents, including the municipal plan and upcoming documents such as the mobility master plan and the parks master plan, as well as Chatham-Kent strategic plan. So this is a document that is very implementable and in alignment with the rest of the strategic goals of the municipality. So this was really not a top-down plan. It was community-informed, based in evidence, and was a roadmap for success. So, as I mentioned, this is a 5-year action plan. It's action-oriented, it's sequenced with timelines. It's designed to also be ready for funding applications so that we can advance elements that may not already be in core municipal budgets, and again, aligned with municipal strategies. What it isn't is just a land use planning document. Not that there's anything wrong with a land use planning document, that's great. It's not just a capital budget, and it's not a static report. It is really a living framework, and it's meant to guide the decisions that we're making to strengthen funding applications and to keep Wheatley's priorities embedded in larger municipal planning. So the vision that we outlined in the strategy was for Wheatley to become a model small town known for its vibrant downtown, dynamic community engagement, and resilient infrastructure. We developed some guiding principles of that, which included community collaboration, sustainability, that's both environmental, cultural, and economic sustainability, inclusivity, adaptability, the preservation of Wheatley's heritage, and innovation. And through that, we developed 4 goals, and the goals at a glance were to strengthen Wheatley's economic foundation, to revitalize the downtown, enhance the quality of place, to position Wheatley as a regenerative tourism destination, and to foster community development, well-being, and social connectivity. So the first goal, which is focused on economic growth and business development, is focused on rebuilding and diversifying Wheatley's economy. So some key actions that came out of that would include a Wheatley-specific investment attraction strategy and a brand package, targeting certain businesses for development in Wheatley that align with the business mix analysis and the trade report that we did, such as modern service providers, boutique accommodations, hosting familiarization tours for investors, conducting a gap analysis of the CIP as it relates to Wheatley specifically, and doing some workforce development and digital readiness training in alignment either with existing providers such as OTEC or developing our own. So really it is about shifting from reactive recovery to proactive investment attraction. What this really means is that we're not waiting for development to happen, we're positioning Wheatley clearly in the market. The second goal is recognizing that the downtown is the heart of Wheatley, and if it thrives, then the community thrives. It builds on the acquisition from the municipality of the properties in the downtown core, assessments from engineering and technical professionals, concept designs that were developed on the northeast side of Erie and Talbot, and the $1 million in secured provincial funding that we received for redevelopment of the what will now be park space. We're looking at really advancing flexible public spaces, mixed-use development, facade improvements, upgrades to active transportation, and wayfinding aligned with CK's community brand, green infrastructure, some engaging public art, and winter and shoulder season programming in alignment with the tourism goals of the plan. Importantly, safety and environmental monitoring remain integrated into design direct decisions, particularly in light of ongoing gas monitoring considerations. So what this means is that the approach balances safety, placemaking, and economic activation in the downtown core. The third goal is tourism and destination development. So tourism in Wheatley really has to strengthen the community and not strain it. And many thanks to the tourism department within the economic development department, who were really integral to the development of this particular goal. What this really embraces is regenerative tourism. What that means is that visitors contribute positively to the local economy and to the environment. Key actions for that include exploring a regenerative tourism brand, developing, which should be completed in the next month or so, a microtourism strategy for the community, curating experiential tourism offerings, and making sure that these plans align with sort of the broader goals of the Destination Marketing Organization, or CK Tourism, and the Regional Tourism Organization. We also really thought that Wheatley had a great opportunity to support ecotourism and tourism stewardship initiatives. We recognize that Wheatley's fishing heritage isn't just a story, but it's really a strategic positioning opportunity for tourism in the community. The fourth and final goal is community development and social connectivity, and I think this is a really key part of how Wheatley shines as a community. We know that recovery has to benefit residents of all ages, all backgrounds, and it really includes embracing and working alongside all of the super active community organizations that have been so integral to the work that we've been doing over the last 2 years, or more than 2 years, the work I've been doing over the last 2 years. This includes inclusive engagement practices, initiatives for youth or newcomers, expanded programming for seniors, ensuring that we're supporting and amplifying the work that's being done through mental health and wellness organizations, a coordinated service delivery approach. So, for example, we've started a table of all of the service organizations in Wheatley where we get to sit down and talk about how we're going to approach things in a strategic way and as a community, because we're already doing these things sort of naturally, and it really helps to have an opportunity for us to sit down together and discuss those and make sure we're not duplicating efforts. And then the final goal is sustaining the Wheatley Task Force as a coordinating body in whatever way that makes the most sense for the community moving forward. The plan recognizes that economic recovery without social cohesion isn't really complete. We really want to ensure that this growth reflects that there's inclusivity, accessibility, and that the plan is community-driven. So, as I mentioned before, the actions identified in the plan are sequenced over 5 years. It identifies leads, timelines, the cost ranges, and success measures, and we identified where items in the plan also align with currently already budgeted municipal items. And it really ensures that Wheatley's priorities as a community are not separate and apart from the larger goals of CK, but really integrated in, and we look at things as a holistic way, and that Wheatley's priorities are embedded into some of the larger CK capital and policy decisions that are being made. The underlying part of this plan is that it reflects the resilience of the community. It showcases a community that endured disruption, but at the end of the day chose to organize, collaborate, and look forward. We recognize that Wheatley has a number of exceptional benefits. It's got, outside of the incredible folks that are living there and working there and growing their businesses there, there's an incredible amount of public support for the community. We have a significant amount of municipal property at our core. We've had great support from the province, and we have a motivated task force and a motivated group of service organizations in the community. The action plan has provided us a structure to turn that momentum into measurable progress over the next 5 years. And I wanted to close by thanking the Wheatley Task Force and the municipal staff, council, and so many of the residents and businesses who contributed their voices and their time and efforts into developing the plan. So thank you very much, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that. Councillor Harrigan and Councillor Sakatchi, would you put the recommendations on the floor, please?
Happy to move the recommendations, Mayor Caniff.
So seconded.
Councillor Harrigan, go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I just really wanted to share my appreciation, Kara, to yourself and also the members of the Wheatley Task Force, 2 of whom made the trek across the county to come in person tonight at our council meeting, so thank you for being here. I really do think that the way that Wheatley responded to what was nothing short of a tragedy is a model for resilience in not just Chatham-Kent, but certainly across the province. And I also think that as a council, while we don't always agree on things, we certainly do stand behind our communities, and it's a lot easier to stand behind those communities when those communities are standing up and really doing that heavy lifting and giving us the light to follow as members of council. So thank you to you, thank you to the members of the Wheatley Task Force, and also to the community members who are doing a really great job in that small town.
Thank you. With that, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor
Yes.
and Councillor McGrail.
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 15-0.
Thanks again. Item 17, Finance, Budget, Information Technology, and Transformation.
17A, Waste to Energy Project Pre-Decision Administrative Requirements. We have a brief presentation from Gord Quinton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's been a while since the waste energy project has been in front of Council, so I just have a few words before we give you the opportunity to ask questions. This is a rare situation where there's a great opportunity to collaborate between the public and private sector. The facility borders the Greenfield ethanol plant and the PUC Chatham wastewater plant, and we'll take materials from both those facilities, and it will take that waste and change it into a green renewable natural gas. The 6 recommendations tonight are all things that come before any major go no go decision. So none of these are not final. There are no final decisions being made tonight. Each will depend on a final decision by council on whether to proceed with this project in late April. Recommendations 1, 2, 3, and 4 are about setting up a municipal services corporation. This will be fully owned by the municipality and will just be a holding company for the municipal partial ownership of the project. There are certain steps that need to be taken to create a corporation under the regulations of the Municipal Act, which recommendations 1 and 2 address. And Dave Taylor or Emily Crawford can provide more comments if council has any questions on those. The corporation, setting up a corporation costs a minimum amount of dollars to set up, but it needs to be in place now before any final decisions. The MSC will need to enter into agreements with Greenfield about further processes for establishing ownership of the anaerobic digester and essential agreements such as the sale of the offtake gas agreements and others, etc. If the project doesn't proceed, the corporation will be closed down. Recommendation number 3 is about appointing technical staff to the corporation. Ultimately, council will have the authority to determine who is on the board of the municipal services corporations, and directors can be replaced as needed. Initially, though, we're under extremely tight timelines, and the decisions needed are very technical in nature of engineering reviews, financial analysts, and legal agreements. And it would be very tough for any councillor to be prepared to tackle these types of reviews. And as a result, staff believe that the best approach for this initial board membership is to have our GM of the Public Utilities Commission, our Deputy CEO, and myself, your CFO, initially on the board. The three of us bring the technical knowledge necessary to protect Chatham-Kent's interests. Recommendation number 5 is a legal requirement for setting up a corporation that will be providing services on Chatham-Kent's behalf and will be receiving any money. And by approving this corporation as a municipal capital facility, it'll then be possible to provide funding to the corporation to invest in this project down the road. Recommendation 4 and 6 address making a loan application to Infrastructure Ontario. And as discussed in the report, we're getting our financing in place early here to be able to secure a good loan rate. Infrastructure Ontario needs several months to review, so this needs to be done now rather than waiting for the council's final decision on the project. If council were to ultimately decide not to go forward with the project in April, we would just not take the loan out. Simple as that. So just because we apply does not mean we need to take the loan. But it's a big first step and be able to know that we're going to could get the loan. And just on that, it's very unlikely that we would actually take out the loan during this term of council either. But we need to get our financing in place now. So again, tonight these are not financial decisions, but necessary administrative steps to lay the groundwork for our future decision in April. Each of the decisions tonight are necessary, but can still be unwound. On the financial side of things, council does not have the information in front of them tonight for a go, no-go decision of actually borrowing the $25 million from Infrastructure Ontario, transferring assets to the MSC, or investing the remainder of its $16 million equity commitment. Just a reminder that council has already approved $1.5 million to date to investigate. The information you need is coming on or before April 27th. And that's financial information. There will be a third-party review from Deloitte, who has a team of 6 professionals reviewing the financial and engineering information. And there'll be my recommendation to council on whether I believe this is a good thing to do or not. We're not at that place tonight. There'll also be future presentations on the project itself and transportation, environmental processes, and any impacts. Just a reminder, this is not, the debenture is not to be paid by taxpayers or ratepayers, but it's a debenture to be paid from the income from the renewable natural gas sales. There will also be dividends from this project corporation for the next 50+ years that council will be provided to councils to lower taxes and wastewater rates. All details coming in the next couple months. This will benefit all corners of Chatham-Kent, every citizen, every taxpayer. Pushing back the project a few months by not moving ahead tonight does have a financial impact. So I just want to be clear that we do need decisions tonight. As it would lessen cost certainty, the farther you get removed from accurate engineering costs estimates to actual tendering. We also have deadlines, very important. We have deadlines for the $60 million of upper level grants that we have secured, and we need to meet those deadlines. And I definitely do not want to put council in a position that $60 million is in jeopardy. You know how hard it is to get any funding from upper levels of government, and our project team has been successful in obtaining $60 million for this. So I think that gives you a sense of what the upper levels think of this project. Like I said, it is beneficial to both taxpayers and ratepayers, but it's even more than that. Every corn farmer in Chatham-Kent benefits by the long-term viability of the Greenfield ethanol plant, our partner in this project, and ensuring its long-term viability on the waste side of this plant is extremely important to the Greenfield Global Board and to me. We are working tirelessly towards bringing council and the PUC all the financial information, legal advice, expert opinions that they need to make a decision in April. The approvals tonight did not need PUC specific approvals, but needed council approval, as only council can borrow funds and only council can create corporations. Administration will be bringing presentations and other issues when required in advance of the April 27th decision. So waste energy will be a common topic on many agendas for the next couple months. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome. Any questions from council?
Thanks. I'll get Councillor C. McGregor and Councillor Juvenville to put this on the floor, please.
Happy to, thanks.
And seconded.
So Councillor C. McGregor, go ahead.
Thank you. I was actually quite happy to see this finally coming to council floor. You know, it is a bit onerous seeing the asks coming in all of the recommendations. So, and I know we have till April 27th, which that time will go very quick. So I am hoping that a few things can be accomplished with the right amount of time for all of us to be able to digest the information that should be coming. And so just a couple comments tonight. In the first recommendation, it recommends about receiving public comments. So, and I'll ask all my questions first, Gord. I'm just wondering, when you're going to receive public comments, is there going to be an actual consultation process, or is this just something you're putting up on CK Talks or info for people to reply to? So that we can get that information out for those interested. And I also wanted, and I understand the need to move forward quickly in appointing the Chief Financial Officer, Deputy Chair Administrator, and General Manager PUC to this board now. And it doesn't, you'd mentioned about the owner's work that is going to go into it that would be very onerous for a councillor to move forward and beyond that. But will there be opportunity later on, or or recommendations that eventually there could be council representation on this board going down the road? And the other thing I wanted, I know there's, just by looking at the recommendations, there's costs into pulling all of this off. I'm just curious, is the costs that it's going to take to bring us from now until the 27th of April, are these going to come from the 1.5 million that we've already approved in council? Will that funding basically come from that area?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, answering the questions. So we are considering we need to get more information out to the public and council over the next couple months, and we are considering a Let's Talk page where like I say, there'll be successive reports coming, and it would be great to at least have it all in one place and welcome comments from the public. But specifically tonight is about just creating the Municipal Service Corporation, and the council and the public, by having this recommendation, could have made deputations to you tonight about actual making the Municipal Services Corporation the holding company. That holding company, just remember, that's just a flow through insulating the municipality from the project company, and it really will turn into a very boring once-a-year meeting. The decisions that will be made, it will be the passing through of dividends and I can't see, there won't be any project-related issues coming to that municipal corporations. It's basically about the dividend flow once a year, a 5-minute meeting, once we get going. So yes, once we get this all set up, council always will be appointing who is on that corporation and would have the opportunity, if they thought that there should be counselors on it, to add them. And yes, the cost up until that no-go decision have been included in the 1.5 million. We will be immediately spending many, many more millions right after that. So as part of that April 27th report, there will be recommendations to advance more of our $16 million of equity.
Okay, and just to follow up to that, thank you, Gord, for those answers. So, and you had mentioned that it will be coming forward on a number of agendas up in the next couple of months as we get there. So will this have the opportunity to come to us kind of in pieces so that we have the opportunity to fully understand the direction we're moving forward in?
Yes, that is a plan.
We're going to have appropriate time to digest some of these different areas of this MSC and moving forward and what we're doing. That's my concern.
Yes, there's 3 council meetings and 2 PUC meetings before the April 27th final go, no-go council meeting decision. I don't have an exact schedule of what meetings I'm attending and what parts are open and what parts might be in closed session, but that will be on future agendas. It's not all just waiting till April 27th to be hit with one huge report.
I will leave it at that. I just have a couple of closing remarks if the mayor will allow that at the end of any of the questions. Thank you.
Certainly, Councillor Juvenville and Councillor Story.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. And thank you, Gord, for expanding on some information. The main reason I'll say, the reason why I pulled it is because there was some feedback from the community and they were asking a lot of questions. So I just wanted some clarification so that people knew that we weren't actually voting on the project tonight, and it was more of an ask to the Infrastructure Ontario and to do some administrative work on this. So we're not making any final decisions, and that's what I wanted to clarify with the public. I just do have a couple questions, sort of tagging on to what Councillor McGregor did say. So I don't know if I understood the answer to number 1 about receiving public comments. So basically, you said that we could have had deputations tonight, but will there be any more opportunities for public feedback at all, or?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I'll try to clarify it, and Dave Ramley might want to add in. It's just a simple step of creating that municipal service corporation that gives you a numbered Ontario Limited company. It allows us to start working through our legal agreements. We need to do that right away, and so we're not tonight. What was when comments on making this holding company would happen, but where I was referring with Councillor McGregor is we're going to be looking about putting it together a Let's Talk page and getting community comments on the and answering questions on the overall project.
Okay. Thank you. I just want a clarification on that. And also on number 3, so you did say that moving forward there is the opportunity for more council involvement, and I understand that most of us probably have no idea, so that's why the 3 of you are involved. But I just want to lay it out. Is there anything that we should include in this so that we know that that opportunity is going to be in there moving forward, that we will have the opportunity for council to perhaps be on this, whatever, is it a board or is it a, whatever it is? Like,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor, for the comment. Haven't discussed this with Mr. Dubin or Mr. Quinton here, but I think we absolutely can do that. Excuse me. I don't think we need to do that tonight. As Mr. Quinton just described, this is really about just doing the basic structure creation of a corporation. And part of the process for doing that under the Municipal Act is we need to do certain things like have this business case that just describes it really as a holding company for the purposes of being able to do this investment. But the things that you're talking about there, those are directions that could absolutely be given by council at future meetings. And as Mr. Quinton just described, there's going to be opportunities for other meetings where this comes forward. And I think that we as administration could work out maybe even some recommendations so that council would know what types of things are going to come back to council and what your involvement might be at that point. So, but this is really just about getting what you have to do when a corporation is created is decide who are going to be the people that are originally named on the corporation documents. It's quite easy to then change people later on and also to provide further directions on what kind of information you would want flowing back up to council. And I think we can work on that and come up with a clear recommendation, but certainly take Mr. Quinton or Mr. Dubin's thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, keep in mind, at the end of the day, it's the shareholders that make the decisions, and the shareholder will be council. And so council's the one that decides who's going to, the shareholders will be the ones who decide ultimately who the directors are going to be. And it's probably something that we would have to go through reappointments from time to time anyway. So I agree with Mr. Taylor. There's no additional compensation to any staff for being first directors on these organizations. They're the ones who are going to have to sign all the documentation. If there is a dissolution, by the way, in other words, if we don't get the funding that we're asking for, we would wrap up this organization. So it'd be those individuals that would sign the documents and pay the $25 to the province to wrap up the organization. So there's nothing in it for the staff. I know sometimes people don't understand some of the corporate processes, but there's nothing in it for the staff, and really it is very much just an administrative process. But certainly in the future, if for some reason council wants to have council members on it, keep in mind that the other partner probably will have technical staff there, not board members. And so it'd be councillors with technical staff from Greenfield Global. But those are decisions that can be made later on. I'm very comfortable with it for what it's worth. I think this is something that's pretty standard for municipalities when they incorporate corporations like this.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted clarification, and that's great. Thank you.
Councillor Story, followed by Councillor Scotchy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Gord, for that additional explanation. That was very helpful. I was one of the councillors that went to Quebec at the beginning of the term to learn about this project, so I'm certainly interested in it, and I am keen on learning more. I think it could be a significant opportunity for the municipality and for Greenfield. And like any project of this size and scale, there's definitely interesting opportunities, but also potential risks. So I look forward to hearing that additional information coming to council, because I know there are benefits and you've spelled those out clearly, but I'm looking forward to seeing the risk-benefit analysis as well. I noticed in the governance piece that both Councillor C. McGregor and Councillor Greenfield mentioned. I share that interest in ensuring that we have additional oversight, because we will be, if I'm understanding, because we're forming two MSCs tonight, the holding and the project companies, is that correct?
No. We're just creating the holding company tonight. And if you go forward at April 27th at the go, no-go decision, we'll be entering an agreement with the Greenfield Board of Directors to create I'll call it Project Co. We'll name the company at some point in time too, so that tonight's approval is only for the holding company.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. I think because one of the, not red flags or even yellow flags, but just something that pops up as I reviewed that second document in the attachment is how when we're sharing responsibility and oversight with a private company who will answer to their shareholders and their needs and desires and questions, and bottom line might be different from ours and we will be a minority. It's 40-60, right? 40 municipal, 60 Greenfield, and I met a lot of really good people at Greenfield in Quebec, so it's not that I have a concern about that, but I think we need to make sure there are guardrails whenever that time is appropriate to ensure that municipal needs and taxpayer needs, when we're 40% versus a 60, technically Greenfield could outvote us in I'm not saying they ever would, but that risk is raised when you see that model.
Perhaps I can, before you go on to the next point, I'll just talk on that. The team of us are involved with this daily, but we also have an external legal team, and one of the things we're working on is our joint the project company universal shareholders agreement, and it deals with all types of things about, when do you need 100% approval for certain things to go forward. So that likely will be the topic of a closed session presentation on this from Emily and the legal team prior to the April 27th meeting, in one of these interim council meetings before then. It'll likely be on your closed agenda to go through the legal aspects.
Okay, thank you. In that second MSC doc that we got, it says the resulting generation and sale of RNG, renewable natural gas, will provide revenue, eventually offsetting project costs and supporting related municipal objectives. Now, will we receive those projections in that plan before the 27th? Because that to me it's not an untested technology. There are, like, Greenfield's doing that very successfully, but this is a new initiative for us, and it's a fairly substantial cash outlay, whether it comes through us or the holding company, but I just want to make sure that we're comfortable with what that looks like.
That one I'm going to have to get back on the timing, and here's the reason why. Everything's coming together. Engineering's completed this week. So now the financial plan can be finalized. We've had many drafts. But we need to finalize that. And then we're putting it out for Deloitte to review for approximately a 3-week period and come back with their in writing recommendations to council. It will be hard for that to make it to a meeting prior to April 27th. Now, we could always consider a special meeting of council to break it up even more, and the Monday before, for example, have a financial night on it, and then come to the 27th. But those are, we haven't mapped out in detail exactly the timing, but I know for the financials, that is going to be last minute stuff.
Okay, I appreciate you clarifying that, because that is something that is probably the biggest question mark for me on this project.
It's the biggest one for me too.
Well, that's good.
If this doesn't make money, I don't think we do.
And I do feel, based on other issues that have come to this council table, including the hub, including the PUC, there's been several major financial commitments that this council has made, and we have decided to have a special meeting. We have decided to provide that information to council and the public ahead of time, wherever possible. So I would certainly feel more comfortable if we had that opportunity. Last but not least, and you and I spoke about this earlier, so I just wanted to mention that in terms of additional information that we might want to see in either the interim reports before the 27th or on the 27th, or even on a Let's Talk CK page, can we send you some of those questions and details? And I'll give you just a 2-second high level. The governance piece, the oversight piece, the environmental impact, the community engagement, and then the stress testing, the financial projections are the big ones for me, because I do feel that there is a great potential upside, but there's some major risk there, and we want to make sure we're securing those long-term contracts, engaging with potential partners and customers, and building those financial buffers that help mitigate risks and provide a more predictable revenue stream. So I don't think I need a motion for that, but if we could send that to you, maybe items to be captured in upcoming reports, that would be very helpful.
Absolutely. If any council, if you have questions or questions that you're hearing out in the public, email on to me. We can add that and have answers in that Let's Talk page, and report back to council. It's a massive project, and there's a lot of information that needs to be shared with the community.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gord.
Councillor Squatchy, followed by Councillor Bondi.
Thank you. Sorry. There, I'm gonna go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So just a couple comments. I know that this came up in the previous term of council, and one of the past council, Ward 2 councillors, Councillor Latimer, was very supportive of these types of projects. So wanted to recognize the past council for initiating this this decision. Just a quick comment to Mr. Dubin. I think it's not a direction or anything, just maybe a suggestion. I think a lot of times when we're looking at these types of projects, we return with a really high technical perspective, and obviously that's very good for a decision-making when you're making decisions, but I think it's also important to present it in a way to the community that focuses on a lot of the positives. We're talking about, debt, and that's a very scary word to a lot of people in the municipalities when it comes to our taxpayers. But I think it's really important to look at like the strategic aspects to this and how it can significantly better. I see this as a significant win for our community, and talking about whether it be the financial burden, but more what those investments could look like to our municipality. We are in a very challenging geographical location, and I think these are the types of things that communities like Chatham-Kent has to look at to become more affordable for a lot of people. So we need to look at these, and I'm very comfortable with the team that we have in place, making a very data-driven decision, putting us to the forefront. But I just really think that we also have to present this. Sometimes it's beneficial to present it from just a more of a simplistic standpoint to people who are seeing these types of presentations. And like you said, Gord, you see this, you've been working in high levels, you're talking about legal teams, you're all talking, you're that, but when the community picks up these reports, they just see 60 million in debt, and we're born, but looking at the ROIs and the potential, in 10 years, what that capital is going to look like, right? So I just hope that there's also a little kind of just a little sub, explanation to show how that's going to secure tax benefits and working with all those community partners and the significant better in more of a lower level, layman's terms for people like us who don't, necessarily know about the renewable energy, how that will look and the benefits, because I just know that there's a lot of people that are going to say $60 million in debt. Nope, we're not going to do that, right? So I just want to make sure that that's an important part of moving forward, that we do that in a manner that's easy and understandable to all of us, right? So thank you.
Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. Just three quick questions, Gord. Like I'm sure I've just heard this today from somebody, that the municipality, we're borrowing $28 million to build the hub, right? So what somebody read into this is that we're now going to loan $25 million to the Municipal Services Corporation. So you can correct me, maybe I'm wrong on this, but is the $25 million that we're loaning to this corporation, is that the $25 million that we're financing through the Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Correct. It's just a flow through. Infrastructure Ontario can't lend to this Municipal Service Corporation. It can only lend directly to municipalities.
Bingo. Okay.
So that's one of the reasons that so it's basically a flow through. the day we borrow money, there'll also be financial agreements as part of the shareholders agreements where shifts that risk to a 60-40 risk on the project company immediately. So it's a flow through.
Okay,
Now, in infrastructure, just to be clear, it's a flow through back with payments too. The payments will come
Right.
from project code to municipal services code to the municipality and then pay back Infrastructure Ontario. So that's how the payments, how we get the 25 million. And then for, let's say we choose a 15-year debenture, every year the payment going back will also go through those steps, because our contract with Infrastructure Ontario is only with the municipality.
and that answers the questions I was going to ask. Wouldn't it be safer for the corporation to borrow the money, but they can't because they don't lend to corporations, they lend to municipalities only?
To clarify, we could, and in fact, we are borrowing another $35 to $45 million from one of the big banks as well. What we're trying to do here is leverage more government loans at a substantial less interest rate, most importantly, so less cost, but also backed by the province. It's showing the other third-party bank investor that, you know, we got the federal government with clean fuel funds, we have the Green Municipal Fund, we have the federal Active Southern Ontario Fund, and we have this $25 million through Infrastructure Ontario. It's solidifying our business case that this is being supported by many, many levels of government, not just Chatham-Kent Council.
Okay, great, that makes sense. Geez, we're borrowing off a lot of money in the last year or so, but that's what we're doing. Two more quick questions. The natural gas that will be extracted from this waste product or whatever, we're going to sell that for a profit. Now, my question would be, who do we sell it to? Like, are we competing with Enbridge, or are we selling it to Enbridge?
Complicated. It's
That was
probably
the idea.
a complicated thing that I should go in much more detail at one of the subsequent meetings. But the short version is, it's going into Enbridge pipes, but the regulatory system in Ontario is not set up for renewable natural gas. So we'll be dealing with a British Columbia company or a Quebec company who will be the ones buying it through Enbridge's pipeline.
That's not that complicated.
That's the short version.
Gord. Oh, that's the short version, yeah. Okay, I can handle that one. Next question, and final question. The company in Quebec services about 30 different municipalities, thus making, I'm sure, it profitable and much more viable. Are we expecting to do that, or is that way down the road from now?
So the Varennes Quebec plant, it's under a totally different regulatory requirements in Quebec on environmental standards. I think everybody agrees that in general, Quebec has a higher level of environmental standards than Ontario, and it certainly does for curbside collection of organic wastes. So they were sort of forced into finding a solution. And basically, when it's 30 municipalities, it's basically numerous little tiny suburbs of Montreal.
Oh, okay.
It's all within about the same square kilometers as Chatham, or probably a smaller physical area than Chatham-Kent.
So it would be like Scarborough, Richmond Hill, and Toronto.
But it's like a Ridgetown and
right,
Glenelg,
okay.
like it's all the little towns, right? So the rules were different. This plant's actually going to be bigger than that plant, but we're not building it to take organic curbside. It's not being built to take curbside organics. I know that was the thought 4 years ago when we started. But that just became way too expensive an option, and quite frankly, it became a math thing where it was much cheaper if we were forced by upper levels of governments to have a curbside organic program. It'd be much cheaper to truck it down to 401 to somewhere else and process it in this plant. It was going to add about 40 more million to the cost of the project.
Ah, okay. And just finally, because there's been some concern, obviously the Dresden nightmare with the millions of trucks going to Dresden, that's not going to be an issue
Estimates 5 trucks a day.
versus that. Okay, great. Thanks, Gordon.
And that, just to be clear, off the 401 up Bloomfield, like not going through downtown Chatham or something, you know, it's straight up the 401 and up Bloomfield.
So before I pass it over to Councillor Councillor C. McGregor, I just want to kind of summarize a couple things. Just so going away for tonight, the macro level reason why we're looking at this is that we have a lot of waste in our community that we need to deal with. And a significant portion of the waste that's going to feed this plant is coming from Greenfield ethanol and from our PUC. So that's the difference in between the Montreal plant and here is that we're feeding a vast majority of the inputs are coming from those two sources. But the other piece where we're getting involved is we will be able to make money on our investment. So yes, we're going to borrow money, but this investment, subject to the financials, so we fully expect them because we've done a lot of preliminary financials, will more than cover the interest, and we will be getting additional revenues which will offset taxes. So the taxpayer will benefit from this project. That is the two reasons why we proceeded on. And certainly, I'm very confident administration is looking at every possible risk that we have in ensuring that the shareholder agreement is in place that protects taxpayers as we move forward. So coming April, we'll have lots of that in place. But this is one of those things, a public-private partnership. This is something that we need to do differently. If we want to reduce taxes, these are the projects that are going to do it. And yes, we're going to borrow money to do it, but we're going to make a profit doing it. So that's the concept behind here. So as we get closer to that, we'll just ensure that the public is aware of everything we're doing to mitigate the risk, but there's significant rewards on the other end of it. So that's in a nutshell what we're going to be looking at in a few months. And I'll pass it over to you, Councillor C. McGregor, for the final words.
Thank you, and through the mayor. So very good conversation, and thank you for that. Just a couple of thoughts that I wanted to leave and hopefully gets through to the public. I have heard a couple of comments about the smell and different things like that. Being a person also that went to Quebec and toured this plant, I was absolutely, totally amazed at this entire process. And you know, it was kind of stinky in the plant, and you can't help that because you're dealing with waste. And this may be different because the waste we'll be dealing with isn't curbside waste, but and organics in that matter. But they had, I'm not even sure what they were going to be called, but filters on the outside. So if you were standing outside of the plant, you couldn't smell anything. And I know that was a concern, and I've heard it a couple times since the council package came out. So I just wanted to put that out there that this is not going to add into any smell that's going to come into the community. And then the last thing that I thought about when we were at this plant. We had a meeting within their boardroom before we actually toured the plant and such. They had a really good film that they showed us, and it was kind of a cartoonish film, but it actually showed the whole process of what happens, how it's brought in, how it's filtered, how it goes into the digesters, and how it's extracted and stuff. And if we could get our hands on something like that, I think that would be a really good presentation to be able to show to the public. So that there's maybe some other understanding of what this whole process is. But again, I very much support this, and I am happy to see that it's coming here, and I look forward to hearing information over the next couple of months as we move forward. Thanks.
With that, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
Councillor McGrail?
Very much a yes.
And we are missing one. Councillor Thompson left, sorry. All votes are in, motion passes 14-0. 17C, 2026 Purchasing Bylaw Revision.
Councillor Juvenville and Councillor B. McGregor, can I get you put on the floor, please?
I'll pass it on to Councillor McGregor.
So moved.
We need a seconder.
Okay, Councillor Scotchy?
Happy to second it.
But I'd like to speak to it.
She wants to speak to it. She doesn't want to pass it.
That's okay, sorry. I didn't mean to confuse things.
All right, Councillor Juvenile, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I pulled this, I realize it's an administrative glitch, I guess, that had happened, but I think if my memory serves me correctly, I did vote against it in the first place, so that's why I've pulled it. And I just want to clarify this, this does not mean that I am questioning the financial integrity of our CAO or any of EMT or anything like that, but I just feel that it's very prudent that council remain very involved in what we are purchasing. So that's it. I just pulled it so that I can vote on it separately. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so as far as, I'll go to the mover and seconder, Councillor Beamer-Rayer, Councillor Scott, you have anything?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
Wait for the other questions.
Sorry, Councillor Bondi, you had something you want to say?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Caniff. So if this passes, would this allow for the CAO to spend up to $1 million without council approval? Because I remember when we bumped it up to 250 under Don Shropshire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Matt Smith, Manager of Purchasing and Accounts Payable. The recommendation in section 155 is meant to keep the approvals consistent to that is in section 36 of the purchasing bylaw, which was amended in 2023, and section 155 was not consistently updated to reflect the changes that were put in there, and it is reflective of the same section 36.
So the answer is yes? To the question, can the CAO spend up to $1 million without council approval?
If there's an approved budget.
If there's, sorry?
If there's an approved budget, so if it's been approved within the budget process already, or if it has been approved within the capital budget, that approval has already been received through council.
So the funds have been generally approved to be spent, but there's got to be a purpose to this, and the purpose of this is that the CEO, whether it be Mr. Dubin or whoever, is able to make a purchase of under $1 million, but up to, without council approval. It's pretty simple.
Well, the council approval comes from the fact that you would have already passed the budget. So when you.
Oh, yeah, we've approved the money, but you get to decide on what sweater to buy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know what I'm getting at. Like, if we approve a $500 million budget.
Yeah.
Or sorry, yeah, $500 million budget, but you can spend up to $1 million of it without council approval. I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so the example of 500 million doesn't, it affects the magnitude of it. So for instance, if you, if we ask for $7 million for 7 different projects, right? So you've already approved 7 projects, and one of those projects is under $1 million, then it doesn't have to come to council after the procurement process. So in other words, we're not bringing the tender or the RFP or whatever if it's under $1 million, because you've already approved it. So you've approved it through the budget process. So it's not new money. It's just that it's anything up to $1 million. So if it was over $1 million, so in other words, if it's a road project and it's 1.5 million, whether it's approved in the budget or not, that would come to you. But if it hasn't, if it is less than $1 million, then it doesn't have to come to you. So, and
So we sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. So council would have approved a specific project that you basically just give the green light to.
that's correct.
But you're not making any decision on the actual project itself.
No, I'm not. So I'm not looking at, yeah, that's correct.
See, my sweater analogy was like, if we approve $500 million, then you get to go shopping at Walmart and you just get to spend as much as you want, but you make a decision on what you're buying. That's not the case. We've
That's-
made that decision.
No, that's correct. And quite frankly, it's a number, and this isn't for me personally, I'm just generally speaking, it's a number that is recognized for an organization our size, with a budget of our size. It is something that is recognized as good practice. We would slow down, we already get accused of poor bureaucracy. We would slow down our processes significantly if we were bringing everything to council for approval of this amount. We still come to council for items that are much bigger, provided that there are obviously already in the budget.
Okay, no, that's great. That clears it up. Thanks.
Councillor Doyle, followed by Councillor Finn.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just echo Councillor Jubenville's. I believe I voted against this when this was originally brought up, just to increase our level. So I'll be voting against it just to keep the same way I did before. Thanks.
Councillor Finn.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick question. Because of the openness and that, where would it be put out to the public where you chose to purchase the item from, if you didn't have to come back to council for the RFP? And
So these projects would follow our posting within bids and tenders on our municipal website, and the awarding would be posted within bids and tenders. So there is information on each of these projects that is publicly available.
But the final decision would be made public as to who they chose. Like when we get our packages, it shows who applied for the tenders and what their score was or what they proposed.
Well, it's no different than whether it's a council decision or whether it's a CAO decision, which is if we put out a bid for a job, we will then post whoever won that bid. So whether it's a bid that is below the million or over the million, either way, everybody who was involved in the bid process and anyone from the public that wants to see it can see it. So there's no secret decision-making because it happens to be under the million. It's still as transparent as any other decision that council makes. So hopefully that helps.
Okay.
Seeing nothing else, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor McGrail?
Yes.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
There's too many people missing. I'm trying to. Okay, all votes are in. Motion passes 12-3.
Item 18, Infrastructure and Engineering Services.
18A, Golf Cart Pilot Program, ERIO 2026 fee update.
Councillor Jubenville and Councillor Doyle, can I get you to put this on the floor, please?
I so move.
Happy to second that.
Councillor Jubenville, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I don't have any specific questions about this actual report, but some people that live in Mitchell's Bay reached out to Councillor McGrail and I just to ask if there is any update on a pilot project potentially being in Mitchell's Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rob Pollock, Acting General Manager for Infrastructure and Engineering Services. So it is a pilot project, and ERIO was one of the 4 sites that was chosen. We have not heard back from the MTO about any future expansions to the pilot project.
Okay, thank you.
If council wishes, I don't think we need a resolution for it, but if council wants us to write a letter and ask what the status of that is, we certainly can, because I'm sure the folks in the other municipalities probably want to know. So any objections to us sending a letter from the mayor, just asking for an update on it?
That would be great. Thank you.
Objections to that? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a letter.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor McGrail?
Yes.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 15-0.
Item 19, Chief Administrative Office.
19A, Together CK Grant 2026 funding recommendations. We have a presentation by Peter Salmon.
Good evening, Mayor Caniff and members of council. I am here to speak briefly about the Together CK annual grant funding recommendations for 2026. To start, my name is Peter Solomon, and I am the Coordinator of Community Grants with Community Attraction and Promotion under Community, Culture, and Connections. My role is to administer the Together CK grants from the application period to the final payments. This involves leading workshops with applicants, leading the review period with committee members, as well as preparing grant agreements and issuing payments to successful applicants, all while maintaining open communication with them along the way. Together CK supports community-driven activities through matching funds to local organizations in Chatham-Kent, with a total of $375,000 available annually for events and projects across the municipality. Organizations may apply for grants worth up to 50% of their budgets. They are eligible for a maximum of $25,000 for significant events, $5,000 for community events, and $10,000 for community projects. For 2026, there will be 66 events and projects supported through Together CK across Chatham-Kent. In total, there are 5 significant events receiving $102,610, 39 community events totaling $137,607, and 22 community projects totaling $134,783. The successful applicant organizations were deemed to be eligible under the established grant guidelines and were scored by the review committee based on their application responses. A tiered funding approach was used based on committee scoring results, with all organizations receiving a minimum of 70% of their initial eligible ask. This map highlights the dispersal of funds to various communities in Chatham-Kent. In total, 14 different communities will be receiving funding towards either an event, a project, or both. It is important to note that Together CK funding is intended to support communities in all communities in the municipality. The Together CK grant review process and subsequent recommendations to council relies on a dedicated community of committee volunteers, including the community representatives listed here. Thank you to all committee volunteers for your time and support, and to the many grant recipients for submitting their projects and events from across the municipality. Thank you also to council for your continued support in helping to build community, culture, and connections in Chatham-Kent. Thank you.
Any questions? Councillor Harrigan.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff, and thank you, Peter, for the presentation. So this is always a really fun one to share as a councillor because you get to celebrate with community members about, you know, the exciting events and projects that are happening. But there's also a note in your project about the 13 applications that were deemed ineligible. And in the past, we've also had community groups reach out to us as councillors once we post these, and it's usually the same email, like, we also applied, but we're not on the list. What happened? What is the reason? So who can organizations reach out to if they're looking for feedback? Is that you yourself, or is there they could call 311? Like, what would the guidelines be for those organizations?
Through Mayor Caniff, there are some that applied that did not meet the grant guidelines, whether they were sports organizations or something along that line. We will be reaching out to those organizations and advising that they apply to award funding, which would be a better avenue for them as a sports group. There were some that may have been private corporations that obviously would not apply because they were not a nonprofit, but we will reach out to everyone even if they did not receive funding.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment before we vote. I mean, this is some extremely good news. Though you showed that this impacts organizations across Chatham-Kent, and it takes people that are volunteering their most valuable time, most valuable resource, their time, and helping them make these events and the projects and supporting them and doing what they're doing to make our community even better. So I want to thank all those organizations that received the money and all the amazing things they're doing. So with that, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor
Yes.
and Councillor McGrail.
Yes.
And we have a conflict on this one, so all votes are in. Motion passes 14-0.
We'll move on to notices of motion. Councillor C. McGregor, followed by Councillor Juneville.
Council received the KPMG Chatham-Kent Public Utilities Commission Governance Review, which recommended the transition of water and wastewater governance from the Public Utilities Commission to the Municipal Council through establishment of Water and Wastewater Department of the municipality. And whereas at its February 2nd, 2026 council did not approve the recommended approach from the KPMG Chatham-Kent Public Utilities Commission Governance Review, and comments from some of the councillors indicated that they had remaining questions about key elements of the proposed restructuring, which they did not feel had been fully addressed. And whereas part of that KPMG Chatham-Kent Public Utilities Commission governance review included a recommendation to develop a skills-based advisory board to advise council, had there been a decision to consider transition of the water wastewater governance from the Public Utility Commission to the Municipal Council. And whereas the new term of council starting in late 2026, there is a need to consider the current terms of reference and composition of committees of council, which will include a review of Public Utilities Commission's terms of reference. And whereas for the same reasons that a skill-based advisory committee was recommended in the KPMG Chatham-Kent Public Utilities Commission Governance Review, council ought to consider changing the composition of the Public Utilities Commission to include both elected officials and skill-based members of the public. Therefore, 1, administration be directed to produce a report that addresses questions raised by councillors regarding the KPMG Chatham-Kent Public Utilities Commission Governance Review and recommendations at the February 2nd, 2026 meeting, so that councillors can be fully informed about the items which were not clear to them at that meeting, and consider whether the information changes their intentions regarding the KPMG Chatham-Kent Public Utilities Commission Governance Review. This report should be tabled with the Public Utilities Commission for feedback and comments before returning to council. And 2, administration be directed to bring a report to council with options for changes to the composition of the Public Utilities Commission, including terms of reference or a bylaw to include a mix of municipal elected officials and skills-based members of the public. The report should include 1, a summary of how the skills-based board members would be recruited. 2, any adjustments or clarification that are recommended regarding decision-making between the commission and council. 3, information about comparator examples in other municipalities that informed the terms of reference bylaw. And 4, details about how these processes could be used in the event that council chooses to proceed with the transition of a water and wastewater governance from Public Utilities Commission to the Municipal Council in the future. Thank you.
Councillor Juneville.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I, Councillor Rhonda Jumonville, provide notice that I will be bringing the following motion forward for discussion and voting on March 9th. Whereas Highway 40 from Chatham to Wallaceburg is under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Transportation, from Chatham to Wallaceburg. And whereas there has been a number of collisions and safety concerns raised at intersections along the corridor, and whereas there have been requests for intersection improvements, including traffic signals at the intersections of Electric Line, Oldfield Line, and Country View Line with Highway 40, and whereas Country View Line is a key artery for the agriculture community and the transport of equipment and produce, And whereas agriculture is a $4 billion industry in Chatham-Kent that relies on safe roads for their operations, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor write to the Minister of Transportation, the Honorable Prabmeet Sakaria, to undertake an operational review of Highway 40 from Chatham to Wallaceburg and prioritize any improvements in conjunction with any future resurfacing projects along this corridor. And a copy of the letter be sent to the Minister of Agriculture and MPP for Chatham-Kent-Leamington, Trevor Jones, as well as MPP for Lambton-Kent-Middlesex, Steve Pinsino. Thank you.
Closed session reports, Councillor Story and Councillor Harrigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today we had a closed session Monday, February 23rd. Council directed administration on proposed disposition of land, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, and position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied by any negotiations carried on by the municipality with regard to Bloomfield Business Park Properties, Section 239, 2C, E, and F, Municipal Act 2001. Council postpone the following item to a future meeting, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege with regard to Municipal Encampment Protocol, Section 2392F, Municipal Act 2001, confidentiality in closed session meetings. Closed session meetings of council are held to discuss sensitive matters such as legal issues, personnel matters, or property negotiations. These sessions are governed by strict confidentiality to protect the interests of the municipality and individuals involved. Council members and staff are legally and ethically bound to maintain discretion, and any disclosure of information discussed in closed session may result in penalties or legal consequences. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I second.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
Councillor McGrail?
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 15-0.
Communication items, Councillor Allen and Councillor McDonald. Can I get you to move those, please?
Happy to move them.
Oh, and seconded.
Any questions? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Non-agenda business. Councillor B. McGregor.
Thank you. This morning was the kickoff to Workforce Week here in Chatham-Kent. There's a number of events over the course of the week you can check out on the website at chathamkentjobs.com. And that week culminates with a Workforce Week job fair March the 4th at the Bradley Center from 11 to 7. So there'll be over 80 employers and community partners there. So anyone looking for information or job opportunities, education and training opportunities, or volunteer opportunities, it's a great place to stop by, and want to congratulate the CK Jobs team in advance for a fantastic job. Thank you.
First and second readings, Councillor Jubenville and Councillor Thompson. Can I get you to move those, please?
Yes, Mayor, actually, can I say something as
sorry.
well? Sorry.
On the non-agenda
That's
business?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
yes, sorry, thank
Yep.
you. I just want to follow up regarding my motion that I brought forward regarding harm reduction that was referred to the Board of Health. So, excuse my tardiness because I was kind of caught off guard, but just wondering, I've had a few people ask me, how will that information come back to council? Will it be included in the minutes from the Board of Health, or how will we know how you have facilitated the motion?
Thank you, Councillor, for your question. I'll take a stab at it. Councillor B. McGregor, if you've got anything else to add, you can do so. We have a meeting actually scheduled tomorrow to talk about bringing it to Board of Health. We're planning on bringing it to the meeting in March. I just don't know that date off the top of my head. And it will be included within the minutes once it does come back to council. And if there's anything further that we need to bring back to council, we will do so.
Okay, thank you for that information.
Yeah, and I don't speak for all the other Board of Health members, but maybe I do. I think during that conversation, we would love the opportunity to bring more light to that issue and more information to council. So that will be part of the discussion that we have as the Board of Health in the best way to bring that back. And certainly, I know the presentations have been well received here and helpful for community information. So it'll be in the minutes, and then the members, I'm sure, will have some input into how we want to make sure that comes back more publicly than just minutes.
Thank you.
Councillor Jumeville, can you move the first and second reading, please?
Yes, I will move.
Seconded.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Third and final reading, Councillor C. McGregor and Councillor Allen.
And second.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Resolution of council. Councillor Story and then Councillor Finn, can I get you to wrap it up?
Happy to move that, Mr. Chair.
Happy to second.
Do I need to say something else?
Here, I'll read it for you. That the Chatham-Kent Council adjourn till its next meeting to be held on Monday, March 9th, 2026, and that council authorize itself to meet in closed session on that day to discuss any matters permitted by the Municipal Act.
That's what she said.
I will second that.
Second it. Anyone
I'll know for next
opposed to
time.
wrapping
Thank
it up at 7:37? Thanks, everyone.